New York City Center is celebrating 30 years of Encores. It's a 30th anniversary of the beloved musical revival series, culminating with Titanic. Here's Perry Sook with more.
Thanks, Tamsin. For 30 years, City Center has been wowing its audiences with encore productions. But just as impressive as the onstage production is the massive undertaking behind the scenes. For the next couple of weeks, I'll be taking you behind the scenes of the making of Titanic. Guys, Encores is just one of my favorite things. It has been ever since I moved to the city, and here we are in the 30th season, celebrating, going out with a bang with this epic Titanic. Can you guys just kind of talk about the excitement of this seminal year for the Encores program?
Yes, so we've had an incredible year at Encores, celebrating 30 years of bringing musical theater to New York City, musical revivals. And the center of Encores is really a focus on the score of great musicals from the past. We love musicals and we love the history of musical theater, and part of what we're doing is inviting the great artists of our time to sort of bring their full self to these great musicals and bring them to an audience today.
How do you go about picking, what shows are going to be? I know we have this amazing season closing out with Titanic. Once Upon a Matrix was also absolutely phenomenal. But now we just announced the 31st season. Where do you go in picking what these pieces are going to be to showcase?
For us, it's really like, well, what intergenerationally, what are people not aware of and what are people wanting? And so when we think about a season, we think about the community that we've invited to City Center, and also really like what yet needs to be rediscovered by generations post that particular material.
What led to the decision to pick Titanic in particular to close out this, anniversary season?
I think the score of Titanic is the reason we programmed it. It's an exquisite score that represents so much of the best possibilities of musical theater. I mean, what Maury Yeston achieved here is just phenomenal. And I think that we also felt like, because the score itself tells the story so well, that it would actually be well suited. It didn't actually need a ton of moving scenery, that it actually could live very beautifully with our Encores setup.
Well, that's interesting, because when you think about Titanic, you do happen to think about the boat. There was a ship. In your head, there is a little bit of an odd juxtaposition of the staging pared down of Encores and a giant ship on stage. And I saw the original production where the entire stage shifted. So how did you go about, finding Annie and Danny, who we're speaking to a little later, about creating this vision in the Encores way?
We really looked at it and then asked these questions to our artists, and in conversations with Annie, she's like, this is a massive, you have almost like a 30-piece orchestra, and that's matched with like a cast that's similarly sized, over 30. That in and of itself is a scale that's like not even on Broadway you will see right nowadays,
it's
right?
Genuinely epic.
So I really want to talk about when you have something not only that you're working off the Broadway production, but when you have something with a movie that's so well known, what are some of the difficulties in just creating a new perception and conception of a show like Titanic?
I honestly can't really think about those things as I dive into a piece. I mean, I have to feel what it is that attracts me personally and sort of put blinders on. For me, it's new because I don't know this, I did not know this musical incredibly well. Now I do. I know about the time period. I remember when it was being made. I remember when it was on Broadway. It happened at the same time that the movie came out, right? So, which totally eclipsed, it seemed, in a certain way in the culture. Titanic, the movie, sort of eclipsed culture in general. But this is a Tony Award-winning musical, and it's a very, very different kind of rendering of this story. So I can't concern myself with that, and I also can't concern myself necessarily with making something new, because that freaks me out, to be honest. So I just have to kind of go in and find the particulars that interest me, and then invite collaborators on and sort of share those particulars with them and have them build on it. And because the two of us have never done this before, this piece before, it will be new because it'll be through our eyes. But just so you know, it's very intimidating to think about those things at times, and so I just have to kind of put one foot in front of the other and do my thing.
This is the first show I ever saw on Broadway, so it has a lot of nostalgia for me personally, and I listen to the songs and I'm just kind of swept back to that era of my life, and it was really when my love of the theater was born around that time too. And so being able to do something that has a huge cast where there are tons of people, there's a huge orchestra, feels really exciting to me too.
What are the major differences, from staging Broadway shows and then coming here to Encore, where yes, it is in fact a staged concert?
Yeah.
Which we've seen the smallest ones where it's people in front of music stands, and we've seen the biggest productions as of this year with theatrics from Once Upon a Mattress. What are the changes and difference in mindsets going to those different types of projects?
Well, for me, it has to do with the amount of time you actually get to put something up. We have 10 days to put this up. That dictates a lot. The margin of error has to be very, very small, as opposed to a regularly timed thing. So for me, I love it because we get this sort of very active, creative 10 days beforehand. That's what's different, is the discovery is now, and we fit it on to the cast.
I think when you're choreographing, there's kind of like always this process and this push and pull, because no actors in any process, encores or a new musical, want to come in and have you not know what the choreography is. But you do also want to leave enough open that the actual performer is adding things to this, and that you're actually choreographing for that person's body and that person's embodiment of the role. It's a complicated aspect of it, and I think for City Center specifically, that is really at the forefront, because you got to move so fast. But you also have to make sure that you're collaborating and not just being like, this is what it is, because I feel like in the theater, as soon as you do that, you're kind of lost a little bit.
Totally. It's Theater Olympics. I mean, one of the things that Encores does beautifully and is part of the ethos of Encores is music forward. It's orchestra forward. And in something like this, where, this score is just heavenly, and it's 30-piece orchestra, which, we don't get to do that, unless you're at the New York Phil,
basically.
or at the opera,
Yeah.
right? This is the other thing that I have been thinking a lot about with the orchestra here. It's such a beautifully large orchestra. They're the water. They're the ocean, because they're all encompassing. They're mercurial. The music's mercurial. It's not something that you can predict, much like the ocean. I feel like I want to harness that energy to speak to how this force of nature engulfs these people.